the other big question in Kansas City is Chris Jones' time with the team over. At the parade a few weeks back, he had a few legal beverages and declared he'll be with the team this year, next year, and the year after that. It made me think they were negotiating on a 3-year deal. I was told at the time, no, they're not even close. But still, he played his hand. He showed his cards. The Chiefs know he wants to be there, and he did it again. There's a tweet this week from Chris Jones. Very simple. KC. With a photo of that moment, for lack of a better term, from Super Bowl 58 while the confetti was in the air. Big Red dove on top of Chris Jones and then was helped off of Chris Jones. And they're going to stay together, apparently, according to the things Chris Jones says. However, I did look into that as well. That was a reaction to something that was out there linking him to the Raiders. So that's why he did what he did, I'm told, per source. Okay. There was something out there somewhere on the internet that was linking him to the Raiders, and so he put that out there. But he's hitting the market if somebody in Kansas City doesn't give him what he wants. And I've been saying this for weeks. Like, I remember the days, Myles, back when you were literally in diapers, when maybe you weren't by then. I don't know anything about when you migrated out of the, there's a certain comfort and ease to just wearing a diaper. I mean, it takes some stuff off the table you otherwise have to do. So anyway, when the Cowboys had their championship team, their dynasty, it felt like the agenda for the rest of the league was, let's get their guys away from them. Let's break up the Cowboys. Yeah. You have a device for breaking up the Cowboys. So Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, let's ride. Any other team out there, Bills, any team out there, search through the couch cushions, come up with the money. You help yourself by getting Chris Jones, and you hurt the Chiefs. You don't necessarily decimate the defense, but, man, you took a big chunk out of the heart and soul of the defense. I'm just amazed. And maybe they're all laying in wait or lying in wait. Lying in wait, I think that's it. I always get that lay and lie. Like, lay and lie. I need to take a course just on when to properly use lay and lie. Regardless, the Chiefs and Jones don't have a deal. He's a free agent next week. The indications are he's going to stay. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, and if I had to pick a team, it would be the Chargers. He's pushing this new vibe. Don't let the powder blues fool you. Wouldn't that be great? And I think he's smart enough to realize, I mean, if he's at Michigan and Ohio State's got a great player, you can make Ohio State worse, and you can make yourself better by finding a way to steal that player. Hell yeah, you're going to try to get him. So, I mean, it's just like, this is obvious. Harbaugh should be, and they're not allowed to now, as of 12 o'clock Eastern on Monday, Harbaugh should show up with those big glasses at Chris Jones' front door. Remember the story about Rick Ryan showing up at Bart Scott's door? And, like, Bart's dogs chased him, like, right when free agency started. At 12 o'clock, and I don't think he can actually, you can't meet with him face-to-face, so I wouldn't do that. But yes, he better have the phone. Yep. He better have the phone. And he better call the agents for Chris Jones at 12 o'clock and say, who's got it better than us? Your guy, if he takes the contract, and get him signed. Chiefs better get it done this weekend, because I'm telling you, man, and maybe we're not hearing anything because they're all smart enough to keep their mouths shut. But if I'm Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz, the new GM there, I'm going to Dean Spanos and I'm going to authorize $35 million a year for this guy. Let's get him away from the Chiefs and let's get him here.
Yes, I mean all that you said makes a lot of sense. The thing that I think about is, if the Chiefs lose Chris Jones and they also lose L'Jarius Sneed, right? Because it seems like they are putting themselves in a position to tag and trade L'Jarius Sneed. Those are arguably your two best players on defense. And I say that with apologies to Nick Bolton, who I think is a really good linebacker. And, McDuffie is a fantastic slot corner. They got some real great players over there. But Chris Jones is not just the heart and soul of that defense. He's one of the heart and soul members of that team, right? I mean, when Andy Reid talks about leadership in press conferences, and I watch plenty of them, he talks about Patrick Mahomes, he talks about Travis Kelce, and he talks about Chris Jones. It's those three guys. And so they need him, right? Think about all the different plays he made in the Super Bowl, pressuring Brock Purdy, making sure things did not go well so that he threw off the timing here in these throws. You see it right here. I mean, this is a guy that is critically important to that defense. And if they really want to get this three-peat, and they've already been talking about it, that's a guy that they need. He is one of the best defensive players in football. All right. So he clearly wants to be there. And the fact that he said it at the parade, as they say, drunk men tell no tales, right? He wants to be there. He's putting stuff out in social media. He wants to be there. The Chiefs want him to be there as well. It's just a matter of, are you going to be able to come together and get this done? Maybe it doesn't happen until 11:50 a.m. on Monday, right? Eastern time. Maybe 10:50 a.m. Central or 10:55, 10:59, whatever it is to keep him off the open market. Deadlines per actions. We were just talking about with Johnson. But like, if they really want to do this, then this is one of the things that Kansas City has to do. You have to be able to keep Chris Jones. And if you're not, then you got to be able to keep at least one of Kim or L'Jarius Sneed. You can't lose both of them, I think, and still be able to be a championship caliber defense.
There have been occasions where a player having the chance to go to market and entertain offers during that 52-hour legal tampering window gets enough of an offer that gets the team to swoop in and get it done. And maybe that's how this plays out. But this is the problem, and this is something that became clear to me when talking to Kirk Cousins 4 weeks ago today in Las Vegas. You know, the problem is once you let the guy get to that point, there's always a chance that if the current team wakes up, they woke up too late. There is something off-putting, I think, when you've given the team for which you've played, and especially if you're Chris Jones, the team you've played your entire career, you've won 3 Super Bowls, and you have been a key player in that effort, the most important player on the defense. And the only way your current team and your current owner, who got an F-, I believe, in the NFLPA report card that came out last week, when your owner is pulling Bart Simpson grades and they screw around and find out, to make a non-profane twist on one of our favorite internal sayings at PFT. But, you know, if the Chiefs wake up, let's say Jim Harbaugh offers 35 and the Chiefs say, okay, we'll pay you 35. Like, by then Chris Jones would say, too bad, you had your chance.
I don't know, man. California taxes are kind of brutal out here. It's a lot worse than in Missouri.
That's true. You know what? And I've made this point earlier in the week, and this bears repeating, because that's a real factor. Now, it's not across the board for everything you earn, because when you play on the road, you pay at the tax rate for that game check for where the game is played. But for your home games, and for your signing bonus and your roster bonus, you pay the tax where you are. Players don't uniformly pay attention to that, and that's astounding to me. Devin McCourty told me at one point the players generally just care about average per year. So, and see, here's the problem. The agent gets paid a percentage, and so this is where you really find out who has character and who doesn't. The agent, let's say the number's 36 versus 35, and the agent's deal is it gets 2%. 3's the max. Let's say he's getting 2%. Whatever percent. You're making more if it's 36 than if it's 35. But your guy's paying a hell of a lot more in 13.3% max value of the state income tax in California. You're the one that chose to live there, man, not me. 13.3%. So anyway, that is a dynamic. That's a factor. And if the Chiefs wake up a little bit too late, if they match, if they sweeten it just enough to account for taxes, if they gross up the number so it's the same, he can still say, I'm going to the team that wants me, not the team that I've given my career to, and they treat me like an annoyance, an inconvenience. Oh, I guess we'll pay him what the Chargers are willing to pay him. No, I want to go to the place where they really want me. That's a human dynamic that factors into this. So I'm not rooting for Chris Jones to leave the Chiefs. All I'm saying is, what the hell are these other teams thinking? You have a prime golden opportunity, a straight shot to go get him. Why in the hell aren't you going to get him?
Well, they would. I mean, he's just not on the market yet, right?
Well, they can. I know, but we've heard nothing to suggest. But we've heard nothing to suggest other teams that might be interested. And I know it's tampering, but if other teams are interested, Chris Jones knows that by now.
I know it's tampering, but we've never. Well, why do you? I mean, you just kind of answered
but
your
it
own
happens.
question
Right
there. Yeah,
they usually don't put numbers on the table. One thing I've learned, Myles, now that the legal tampering period is a thing, and it's been a thing for at least 10 years, most don't put hard numbers on the table until noon Eastern on Monday rolls around. So he at least will know who else is going to call. And it may be at this point they're just waiting to see who calls and how much they offer at 12:01 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
Right. And that makes sense. And, I think the dynamic that you brought up of, does he feel the love, right? I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. talked about that when he was going through his free agency, whether it was feeling the love from the Rams before he came here to Los Angeles, right? And started playing for them and maybe would have been MVP of the Super Bowl had he not torn his ACL, or same thing with Baltimore. And they showed him love in terms of money, right? Like there's a different dynamic that happens when you are on the open market, especially when it's your first time on the open market and you get to be a free agent and you want to see, does this team really, really want me? And are they going to show me the proverbial love of wanting me there? So yeah, that's a real thing that players do talk about once they go into this process.
Real quickly, and we wrote about this at PFT, Chiefs coach Andy Reid was on with Rich Eisen recently. He said he's hoping a deal can get done with Chris Jones. We'll see. The clock is ticking loudly. We've got 3 days. 3 days. We'll find out. And you know what will happen? And this is where the evidence of the tampering is most strong. If a deal is done and leaked and reported within the first 15 or 20 minutes of the opening of the legal tampering window for any of these guys, Jimmy Garoppolo last year, his deal with the Raiders was like out there known publicly within 25 minutes, literally, of the start of the tampering period. That means they've already pre-negotiated. You don't negotiate a $100 million deal or an $80 million deal or whatever, a big money deal. You don't just do it in 10 minutes. There's already an understanding that something's going to happen, and there's already some sort of loose discussion about what it's going to be. So we'll see. Every team is different about what they do when we get to this point. Agents are different about how far they'll go. We'll know. We'll know once that flag waves, the green flag, noon Eastern, Monday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.